She's not sitting around the house.
Hello, and I'd like to... Hello. Good evening. I'd like to introduce... Welcome to the September 10th Hillsborough Township Board of Education meeting. In accordance with the State Sunshine Law of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Hillsborough Township Board of Education was provided on September 6th, 2012 to the Hillsborough Beacon and Courier News. May I have a roll call, please? Mr. Mahmood.
Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Here.
Ms. Santafonte? Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Mrs. Haas?
Here.
Mrs. Haley? Mrs. Lay? Mr. Pulsifer?
Here.
Ms. Wasson?
Here.
And Mr. Kins?
Here. We have quorum. If we can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, going through the agenda, there were 2 items of correspondence that were recorded. I do want to note that we did receive an additional correspondence from Mr. Steve Thomas with regard to homeschooling and the NJISAA regulations.
Yes, Mr. Kins, and we will provide that correspondence on the following Board of Education meeting.
Okay, great, thank you. I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Schiff for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my pleasure to see so many faces here in the audience this evening. Tonight we're going to be recognizing all of our new staff members that we're bringing onto our district. We're very excited to have them on board. This past week marked the start of the 2012-2013 school year. Close to 7,400 children participated in their first day activities. Lots of smiles around the district, and part of that is not only our experienced staff, but also our new staff. So to introduce our principals, give a little background of all of the work that we've done in the personnel department over the summer, and then he'll introduce the principals who will introduce our new staff. I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Rocco.
Thank you, Dr. Schiff. I hope we have enough cake tonight for everybody who's in the crowd. Just as a little update on where we are and what we did this summer, going back probably about March or April during the recruiting season, we knew we were going to have a busy year. And just totals for the board and for the community to understand, we had 32 retirements this year in the district. We had 22 resignations, and we budgeted for 20 new positions, and that's a total of 74 new hires to the district this year. That does not include 12 long-term subs to start the year. So when you put that into perspective and you have 86 new staff to the district, which is one of the largest classes, I'll say, classes we've had in a long time, that is a lot of paper screening, a lot of interviews, and a lot of finalists coming through the district. And what I have to say is that we have some absolutely outstanding educators in our audience. Every one of them are top-notch educators who are going to do great in our classrooms. And what we have traditionally done over the years is we have had an opportunity at our first board meeting in September for our principals to come up and introduce those staff members who are new to Hillsborough. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to start with Ms. Bingert, our principal of the high school. We will then go to our middle school, our intermediate school, and then our elementary schools. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Binger.
Good evening, and thank you very much, Mr. Rocco. I'm going to invite all new high school staff to please come and just create a nice line to my right. The high school, being the largest building, logically has the largest new staff. And as I call your name, just take a quick little step forward so that Mr. Beelan can focus in on your face for the nice folks at home. Some of these people joined us at the beginning of this year, some people midway through last year, as is the case with the first person I'm going to introduce tonight. Mr. Colin Simpson is our new vice principal at Hillsborough High School. Caitlin Adams, a Hillsborough alum, I must mention, is a guidance counselor at Hillsborough High School. Ernie Bernhard, who could not be here this evening, is formerly with us as an aide, but is a new special ed teacher at the high school. Kevin Carty also joined us partway through the year, could not be here this evening, but Mr. Carty teaches information and communication technology. Laureen Cowley is joining our English department. Jenny Crea has joined our Italian department. Amanda DeFicio, Health and Phys Ed. Angela Fee Mayman, Special Education. Starting tomorrow, if everything goes well tonight, Brianna Grasso, speech therapist, not with us tonight. Anjana Iyer is in as a long-term sub for us in special education, also not with us this evening. Scott Callens has joined our social studies department. Melanie Lovisa, special education. Jacqueline McGill, English department. Jennifer Medwick, math department. Catherine Merriam, alumnus and physics teacher, not with us this evening, unfortunately. Aaron Millman, guidance counselor, started with us last year. Jacqueline Moskowitz, special education. Suzanne Mashinsky, English. Danielle Rothman, math. Kenneth Schindel, English. Mindy Sweetwood, Family and Consumer Sciences. Michelle Swerdlow has joined our math department, could not be here this evening. Sharad Katoft will be joining us in the beginning of October in special education. Ann Wonish has joined our child study team as an LDTC. And finally, Patricia Yale has joined our social studies department but could not be with us this evening. We're excited to have all of you on board. You're a great incoming class. You're a large incoming class. And we're thrilled to have you join the Hillsborough family. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. I'll ask for the middle school new staff, if you'll kindly do the same, please join me up here and form a line. If you'll gather by earliest birthday to latest. Thank you. The middle school also has a large number of new staff. Some of the new positions that we restored this year account for some of the staff you'll see here this evening. Go in alphabetical order. Let me introduce first Gabrielle Capaferri. Gabrielle is going to join us, literacy, grade 7, long-term sub. Welcome, Gabrielle. Andrea Gower. Andrea joins us as a Spanish teacher for 7th and 8th grade. Randall Haywood. Randall joins us as a music teacher for 7th and 8th grade. Andrea Krennick. Andrea is a special ed teacher, special ed and also special ed math and science. Alexa Lindenberg. Alexa student taught with us last year and joins us as a math teacher. Jackie Medina. Jackie joins us as a science teacher for 7th grade. Melissa Rampel. Melissa joins us as a health and phys ed teacher for 7th and 8th grade. Lynn Rossman. Lynn joins us as an art teacher at the middle school. Kelly Stevenson. Kelly couldn't be here this evening. Kelly's joining us. He was one of our latest hires, just took over as a long-term sub for literacy. Maureen Wild. Maureen Wild joins us literacy for 8th grade. And finally, I think I'm missing anybody, Patrick Scarpello. Patrick is joining us as our assistant athletic director and also a teacher up at the high school, health and phys ed as well. Thank you, gang, and welcome aboard to Hillsborough Middle School.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to ask our Alton Road staff to come on down.
Come on down. That's it.
As they're forming into line, I wanted to mention that they have a special song they're going to sing for everyone at my conclusion. It's great to see everyone. Their hours are pretty much the same every day now. They work until about 8 o'clock every night, so it's nothing new. So great to have everybody here tonight. Again, in no particular order, very happy to introduce our new staff at Alton Road. I'll begin with Megan Burns. Megan is a literacy team teacher in grade 6, also a Hillsborough alumni. Rose Cavalier, she's an ICR, in-class resource teacher and support teacher in grade 6. Brianne Gattuso. Brianne will be teaching math and science. She's a math and science team teacher in grade 5. Welcome, Brianne. Deanery Volker, she is with us as an ESL teacher. John McAvady. John is with us as a literacy and social studies teacher in grade 5. Welcome, John. Kelly Papenchak is a grade 5 teacher, and she will be teaching science and social studies. Welcome, Kelly. Emily Sherman. Emily will be with us as a Wilson reading instructor. Welcome, Emily. Patricia Ann Vleerbone is with us as a Wilson reading intervention teacher, but we just found out through some scheduling changes she actually will be leaving Alton Road so short of time and going over to Triangle Elementary. So I know she's in good hands with Lisa Heisel, but welcome aboard anyway, Patricia. Thank you. And I think the last two in our line today, we have Amy Crow. Amy will be with us as a long-term sub in grade 5. Welcome, Amy. And Christina Stasik, she will be with us as a language and learning disabilities teacher. Welcome, Christina. I also wanted to mention that two individuals that could not be here this evening, we have Kirsten Jensen. Kirsten is back with us at Alton Road. Her position was cut back a number of years back, so we're happy to have her back as an ASI math teacher in grade 6. And Kay Toki. Kay is with us as a grade 6 math and science teacher. So again, thank you all for coming. I wish you all a wonderful year, as I said already a number of times, and we're so happy to have you with us. Thank you.
I had a sinking feeling when I was up here that I'd left one name off the list. Teresa Morgan joins us as our family and consumer science teacher. Welcome, Teresa.
Okay, why don't we call Miss Milady, Dr. Milady, if you wouldn't mind coming up and introducing your new staff, principal of Amsterdam School.
Good evening. We're proud to announce that Xu Zhang is joining Hillsborough as our new world language teacher of Chinese, and she will be teaching for us and for Triangle School. Welcome. And also, Dina Ray Volker, who was also introduced, is also going to join Amsterdam School as well as Aris. So welcome.
Thank you, welcome. How about Mr. Kerrigan, if you wouldn't mind coming up, our new principal of Woodfern Elementary School. And again, if you're one of the new teachers, please come up with your principal also so that he has a chance to introduce you.
Thank you. I'm very proud on behalf of Woodfern to introduce Stacy DeValeski. Stacy will be joining us this year as an ASI teacher, and we have the benefit of her being a member of the Woodfern family from last year as a long-term sub. So she's not new to Woodfern, she's not new to Hillsborough, but we're glad that she's with us this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Jenkins, would you like to come on up? Dr. Jenkins is our principal of Sunnymead Elementary School.
Good evening, everyone. Sunnymead School, we're going to get in our very short line. We are tiny but mighty. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce to you our latest family members at Sunnymead, Ms. Emily Sapphire, who's a second grade teacher. Welcome, Emily. And Mrs. Kai Kang, who is our world language Chinese teacher. Welcome to Sunnymead and Hillsborough. Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Michael Volpe, who is our principal of Hillsborough Elementary School.
I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to Hillsborough. It's a great place to be, and we hope you have a great career here. At this time, I'd like to call up all of my new staff members who are here. That's right, there are none actually in attendance tonight. They all had prior conflicts. But I would like to take this opportunity to mention we have Stephanie Marici joining us in the special ed department. Oh wow, we got claps for people who aren't here, awesome. Craig Sabula is joining us in the physical education department. We have Jessica Andical, who is going to be my new librarian. In second grade, we have Dawn Krimpaski, who is a long-term sub for us, and fourth grade. And in second grade, we have Debbie Cernas, who was a long-term sub for us last year as well. 5 new people at Hillsborough Elementary School, and they helped us get off to a great start this year. Thank you.
Ms. Jody Howe, our principal from Woods Road Elementary School.
Good evening. Could we have Woods Road people come on up? At this time, I'm very proud to introduce Jennifer Peterson. She is going to be grade 3. Welcome, Jennifer. Jacqueline Lucarelli is an alum, and she is going to be our long-term sub for grade 2 for Mrs. Town all year. And she was lucky enough, actually both Jennifer and Jacqueline completed their student teaching last year at Woods Road, so here we are. Pam Ciparulo is not new to the district. She comes from Sunnymead, and she will be our part-time academic support instructor. We have Connie Zhang, who is our teacher of Mandarin. Kristen Radziniak, preschool autism. Catherine Spencer is our long-term sub for preschool autism. Thank you, ladies. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Ms. Howe.
I also am here in representing Triangle School. We have Danielle Orlando, Triangle School. Okay, well, welcome, Danielle.
Thank you, Jody. Let's give another big round of applause to all of our new staff members who are here. We ask that you remain for a few moments. We do have some refreshments for you, but before we take a quick break, we have a ceremony tonight. We have our CERT graduation, I guess. We have tonight Mr. Rocco, who has been a leader not only here but in the state on emergency readiness. We've trained so many teachers and staff members in their CERT certifications. It is quite impressive. So, Mr. Rocco?
Thank you, Dr. Schiff. It is kind of strange on the first board meeting in September to talk about graduation. But that being said, we had a opportunity for staff to come in over the summer, and for some staff, they were new to the district, so we said, we're going to give you your traditional new teacher orientation, which is 3 days, and then we're going to ask you to come back for 4 days and do 27 additional hours of training. We're going to teach you how to put out fires and do search and rescue and CPR and all those other things, and 25 people took us up on that crazy offer, so I want to thank everybody for that. We actually have one of the largest CERT memberships in the state when it comes to number of members, and we are only one of 2 schools in the state of New Jersey that actually use the CERT team to prepare for emergency management. So it's 27 hours of training. About 200 of us have taken it already. The graduates today are breaking from tradition. They are not getting their green bags today. We gave them on the last day of the training, so we're going to call them up and give them their certificates. But before I do, I'd like to bring up Lori Voorhees. Lori is one of our trainers going back to 2007. Lori donates all of her time to this training, and we really appreciate it. She makes the training awesome for everybody, and every time we ask her to do another class, she's there available for us. And so today, she's also bringing the certificates. I'd also like to bring up a gentleman who escaped us in June and quietly went out the door without saying anything to anybody, went out and became a trainer for CERT, and then came in and helped us train people. So after 42 years in the classroom, he's decided to take on a new challenge of teaching. I'd like to bring up Skip Emanuele, who helped us with the training this summer. Finally, he's not here. He says he's on some kind of training in Boston. But I'd also like to thank David Gwynn. And David Gwynn is the chief of EMS. He's also the project manager for the REMS grant. And he and I have been doing this now for too many years together. I know he likes to eat, and so when we work together, we always have to have lunchtime together. So he's been a great compadre of mine when we've gone through these things, and he's been instrumental in making this happen in Hillsborough and getting other districts to consider it. So thank you, Dave, wherever you are in Boston. So at this time, I'd like to start bringing up our CERT graduates, and let's start with Jessica Anticola. Please come on up, we're gonna have a picture. Gabrielle Capaferri, Rose Cavalier, Dina Direction, Angela Fee, Brianne Gatsu, horrible name, sorry, Gattuso. Christine Haas. Scott Callens. Andrea Krennick. Jennifer Medwick. Stephanie Marici. Jacqueline Moskowitz. Suzanne Muzinski. Mike Picatoli. Lynn Rossman. Danielle Rothman. Paige Russo. Debbie Cernis. Ken Schindel. Colin Simpson. Patricia Verbone. Maureen Wild. Ann Wanish. Patricia Yale. And Connie Zhang. And these are your summer 2012 CERT graduates. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Congratulations, all of our CERT graduates, as well as all of our new staff to join us. And Skip, it's great to see you back again. I'd ask the board if we could take a 5-minute recess to enjoy some cake in honor of all of our new staff members, as well as our CERT graduates tonight.
Absolutely. Let's take a 5-minute recess.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're back from the welcome celebration. Continuing on with the superintendent's report, Dr. Schiff.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've been very busy throughout the summer, and we wanted to take a few moments this evening to share with the board and the public some of the activities that are going on in the areas of personnel, which we saw a few minutes ago, with all of the new hiring. We'll also spend a few minutes talking about curriculum and our technology, as well as our capital our capital projects that we've been working on all summer long. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to, let's see, Mr. Mahmood, who will share with us what we've been doing with all of our facility improvements over the summer. With that, Mr. Mahmood.
Thank you, Dr. Schiff, and thank you, members of the board, for giving me an opportunity to go through with you the events that took place in the summer of 2012 regarding our facility improvements. First, I'd like to start by saying that for the summer 2012 facilities, we have developed we have a long-range facility plan, a 5-year long-range facility plan, and the projects that we completed over the summer, and there are a few pending projects as well, is part of that long-range facilities plan. What we did this year is we just prioritized and categorized a lot of these projects, and the projects that I'm about to go through with you tonight are what we call high-priority capital improvement projects. Another thing that I'd like to make note to our board and the public is with these projects, it's permitted us or allowed us to prevent maintenance or to do preventative maintenance for all our buildings throughout the district. Each initiative that we took in terms of capital improvements is in the most appropriate method. We followed all the public school contracts laws. We did full bids, quotes, cooperative purchasing, in-house, and we also did, obviously depending on the project type of cost, is how it would affect the bidding process. Without any further ado, let me start with our high school. And at the high school, the first project that I'd like to talk about is we did flooring replacement where we actually replaced worn carpeting with VCTs in room 169, 260, 262, and room 507. The cost for that job was $12,815. The contractor that we used is Commercial Interiors Direct, and that job has been completed. The VCT is a tile that we put down on the floor, and if you look at the picture at the high school, you'll see the nice shiny floor. That's the VCT tile that we had placed down. The next project that we worked on at the high school is we actually added a speaker in the pole barn weight room to allow for the PA connectivity and communication to the main building. As much as that project would seem like you're just looking at a small speaker and you'll see the cost at $11,150, the behind the scenes work and all the wiring that took place is really where the cost is. And the importance of that is when we did a drill a couple of years ago, there was no connection to the pole barn. So if there was something going on that was an emergent situation, we wouldn't have communication. With this project and the completion of this project, we now have the ability to communicate to that section of the building. Our next project that we worked on is the track resurfacing and turf infill. The scope of that work was to really resurface the track where worn and provide additional rubber to the turf field. Obviously, that's very important, and that's something that we labeled as a high priority. The cost for that was $7,250, and that has been completed. The next project at the high school that we worked on is a safety concern where we actually, for the basketball backstop safety straps. What we did with that is we installed safety straps to all basketball backboards. There's a total of 8 that we installed, and this obviously was also a preventative maintenance job. The cost for that was $3,765. That has been completed. The next job that we also tackled at the high school was electrical in nature. The scope of that job was to provide additional electrical power to the Life Skills Lab, room 520, to support the installation of a new stove. And you'll see by the picture, there's actually, and I don't think the stove is there, but the installation is there. We are still waiting at this point for a permit to be released, so the work is not yet completed. The cost of that job when it's completed will be $13,209. Okay. At the high school, we also did a replacement to a sink. The scope of that job was to replace a leaking and non-functional sink in shop room 502. The cost of that job was $3,150. That was an in-house job, meaning our staff had actually done the replacement of that sink. The next job at the high school that we had completed, actually we have not completed, we are in the process of completing, is our stage floor replacement. The scope of that job obviously is to replace the damaged stage and the floor and trimming. The cost, $40,095. Our work schedule is estimated between September 11th to October 3rd. Okay, that was the high school. Now we're going to move on to the Hillsborough Middle School. The next job at the middle school, actually the first job at the middle school, is the gymnasium flooring and painting. The scope of that job was to refinish the wood floor and repaint the entire gymnasium. And I have to say, that really, the gym just looks great. The cost of that job was $22,964. The picture does not do it justice. The next job at the middle school was to actually do a door frame repainting, and the scope was to repaint all corridor door frames throughout the original building and annex. That job has been completed, and the cost of that job was $10,650. At the middle school, we also are in the process of putting together a purchase order. Actually, I think the purchase order has already been processed, but the annex corridor locker replacement. We're actually replacing the existing corridor lockers with larger units to increase the locker count. The cost of that job is $104,488. I just would like to mention that that job is going to take a little bit of time because of the ordering of the lockers. So we do anticipate a reasonable installation date, but we do not have that yet. We're waiting on the product. The next job at the Hillsborough Middle School was the public address system improvements. We actually added PA speakers in previous what we call dead zones of the main office and guidance, which is essential. The cost of that job was $557, and that has been completed. Okay. The next job, which I think is the last work that we did over at the middle school, we're working on it as we speak, is the water heater replacement. Our Board of Education tonight, there'll be a recommendation to actually replace 2 existing water heaters servicing the main building. The cost for that job is $23,660. If the board does approve that tonight, that work will commence immediately. At Auten Road, what we're working on is the mechanical equipment modification. The scope of that job is to install variable frequency drives to improve functionality of mechanisms units serving the music room. In English, what that means is we had a temperature variance between 2 rooms. One room was extremely hot, one room was extremely cold, and that had to be resolved. The cost of that job is going to be $23,850, and we are in the process of still waiting on New Jersey Department of Education approvals and permits. Auten Road Intermediate School, we've actually completed our bleacher maintenance. The scope was to perform preventative maintenance on gymnasium bleachers to ensure continued performance. The cost, $941. That has been completed. Amsterdam Elementary School. We are scheduled to replace the staff safety padding. The scope is to replace safety padding in the front and rear of the gymnasium. The estimated completion date of that is September 30th, and the cost for that would be $4,980. Amsterdam Elementary School, we have completed the replacement of vertical blinds in all but 2 classrooms and the main office. The cost of that job was $7,900. At Hillsborough Elementary School, we have completed window repairs. The scope of that job was windows repairs as needed over 48 window units throughout the 206 wing classrooms. The cost of the job was $5,500. Hillsborough Elementary School multi-purpose room flooring. We have completed the replacing floors in the multi-purpose room with the new VCT tile flooring. That picture that you see right now is not complete, but that has been completed, that job. The cost of that job, $17,520. Also at Hillsborough Elementary School, we have completed the replacement of toilet partitions in the 206 wing toilet rooms. I was in that wing, I looked at those toilet partitions prior, and they looked horrible. These are great when you get an opportunity for board members or even administrative staff. It's a great work, $9,775. Sunnymead Elementary School. We have completed the repainting of all classrooms and door frames not otherwise painted in the last 3 years. That job was completed by in-house staff. Triangle Elementary School, we have completed the replacing the skirting at the base of the module classroom. That was a safety issue. The cost of that job was $4,475. Woodfern Elementary School, we have completed, replaced original worn carpeting and asbestos tiles below with new VCT tiles. The cost of that job, $24,131. And for Woodfern Elementary School, we are at the moment looking for our board tonight to also approve a bid and a quote that we have received. The scope of that exterior lighting at Woodfern Elementary School will be to install new pole lights and building mounted lights in the front parking lot. For those that know that building late at night, it is a safety issue. It's extremely dark, and we absolutely have to resolve this. The cost of that would be $22,700. Woods Road School, we have completed the repair of the gym floor by replacing selected areas and feathering in new wood. The cost of that job, $2,950. Our Bloomingdale building, we have completed the removal and replacement of existing worn and torn carpet with new carpet. The cost of that job, $9,144. And the last work that we had completed this summer is to actually look at the exterior siding replacement and painting of a building that I drive by every day, and it looked horrible for many years, but we finally got this done. We were able to remove rotted siding and replace with new and repaint the entire interior and exterior walls and trims. The cost of that job, $18,116.
Thank you, Mr. Mahmood, for that presentation. Now we're going to shift gears and go over to Dr. Antunes for a summary of the work coming out of the Office of Curriculum.
Promise it's not as long as Mr. Mahmood's. So we had a lot of curriculum revisions to do in the last 2 years, and the state set out the expectations for us. So while they broke up mathematics, K2, 3, 5, 9, 12, and 6, 8, we don't write curriculum that way. We write curriculum K-12. It enhances the vertical articulation between teachers and ensures a seamless curriculum throughout the grade levels. So we completed that last year, and as well as science K-12, all completed in 2011. Everything else had to be completed for September of this year. Everything else had to be completed. So those are the things. ELA stands for English Language Arts, K-12, and under 21st Century Life and Careers includes those things like Family and Consumer Sciences, Information and Communication Tech, those sorts of areas. So the board has been, the education committee of the board has been taking a look at the curriculum, has been, as I get it and take a look at it, we submit it to them, and then the gets approved by the board at this level. So our overall stats. 2 years, 9 curriculum areas, 414 curriculum opportunities, 372 number of actual writers. Some people wrote 3, 4, 5, 6 curricula, and 7,575 hours of curriculum writing were approved by the board. That doesn't mean they were all used, but they were approved by the board. And the benefit to our students, priceless.
Thank you, Dr. Antunes. I'd like to open it up to the board if the board has any questions for administration and all of the activities we've been working on over the summer. Mrs. Light?
A few questions. For the lighting, I know how critical that is. We've been waiting for that. And for the, I know you have to take the low bid, but did we consider the return on the investment? So in other words, if you had, did we consider how efficient the lighting would be and see what the cost actually is of the different lighting?
I don't think, Ms. Lay, that the contractor, I have to check with the architect. I don't know if they've actually did the legwork to go about that process. So I can't say to you honestly that I have an answer at the moment for that question.
We do, just as an aside, we're in the process of receiving the first drafts from the energy audits, which will make recommendations to the board for possible changes in lighting with the amount of years that we would receive payback. So lighting's one, but there's many, many different recommendations that these audits will make to the full board. I anticipate within the next 3 weeks we should have additional information.
So as a follow-up to that, if the recommendation is to use a certain type of lighting for efficiency's sake, then how does that fit in with approving this contract? So in other words, we don't know how efficient the lighting that they have in this bid. And what if it's not what will be proposed by our architect?
These are lights for the outside parking lot at Woodfern. Is that what you're referring to? There aren't a great deal, there aren't that many lights that we have. I would, my recommendation is for the board to seriously consider doing this. This is one of those areas, if you've ever been at Woodfern past dusk, it's really dark out there in the parking lot. We have spoken with our architects about it. They are recommending poles actually out in the parking lot, as well as spotlights that come off of the school in order to adequately light it. We did not have direct conversations about energy efficiency when looking at this. However, this is a high priority, and I don't believe that our architect would steer us wrong on energy issues related to these few lights. It's not like we're lighting an entire interior of a building here. There are a few lights on the outside and then pole lights in the middle. Would you agree, Mr. Member?
I do, Dr. Schiff. And Ms. Lay, what we'll do is I'll follow up with the architect of record tomorrow and just make sure that we're all on the same page, and certainly get back to the board and let you know what the architect of record says.
Mr. Gillette?
Oh, thank you. Mr. Mahmood, just in case the public knows this, I'm going to point out that I noticed that I couldn't help but notice that the PA speakers in the middle school were $575, and the speaker in the pole barn was $11,000. Any comment? Couldn't we have got the contractor that did the middle school to do the pole barn?
Mr. Gillette, it's a good question. I quickly went over it during the presentation. The reason why the cost is much greater at the high school is there's a lot of wiring. So the cost is not necessarily the speaker. At the middle school, the speaker was already in place, so it's really the cost of a speaker, which is minimum. At the high school, there was so much wiring, and that's where all the cost really comes in. The actual speaker itself is not that expensive, but in order to run those type of wires underground and the way they trenched it is where the cost for the board actually accrued.
There's no opportunity there for wireless?
The safety, according to the architect, in a situation where safety is concerned, we went with a hard wire, knowing in fact that we can reach those in that building in case there's something wrong. It was the recommendation of the architect.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And this was quoted, correct?
Correct.
We had multiple quotes on that job as well. Ms. Wasson?
Yeah, I just had a question. I noticed that there was upwards of $2,500 spent to repair the gym floor at Woods Road School because of leaks in the roof. Is that roof still leaking?
Currently, we just received word with one of our last storms within the last couple of weeks, Ms. Wasson, that there is some major, we don't know if it's gutter issues. We know that there are some issues with the roof. We are addressing the issue. We don't know what that will mean in terms of a cost or how we're going to handle it at the moment. But we do have our architect of record looking at what options we have for the board, whether it's a patchwork or we have to look at the gutters. But there are some leaks based on some of these really heavy storms that we got over the last couple of weeks. So we are addressing it. We do realize that, you know, we did put down a floor, so certainly we don't want to waste the cost like that and not address the roof.
It doesn't seem like the leak is over the gym floor. We did see some leaking in an office adjacent to the gymnasium. Some indications that there's still an active leak there. But as Mr. Mahmood indicated, it looked like there was either backups on the gutter or actually backups by the downspout, or there may have just been so much water during some of these torrential downpours that it actually backed up. But that being said, though, we're still looking at this very carefully and making sure that that roof was adequately repaired, and that if we need to do additional repairs, we'll bring that to the board at this time. That's all I have for my report, Mr. President.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Schiff. Moving on to the approval of minutes. Last meeting is for August 27th, 2012. There was just a regular meeting, so I would like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the August 27th, 2012 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? No. Okay. Abstention.
Judy, thank you.
Next item is public input on the random drug testing policy. Do we have any public input? Okay. Seeing none. New business. New business from the public and board. Those wishing to address the board regarding new business may do so at this time. However, the board typically will not address those issues at this time. Issues raised may be referred to the administration, board committee, or placed on future work session agenda if warranted. Do we have any new business from the public? Okay. Any comments from the public regarding the action agenda? Okay. We'll take the board comment during the agenda. So I would like to hand it over back to Dr. Schiff for the action agenda.
Thank you. I ask for the board's consideration the following motions under the area of education. The motion to approve the policies for second reading, including acceptable use of computer network, computers, and resources. Policy and regulation concerning prevention and treatment of sports-related concussions and head injuries. Policy 2622, pupil assessment. Policy and regulations 5600, pupil discipline code of conduct. Also a motion to dispose of textbooks as listed on attachment 8.2. Motion to approve travel and related expenses listed in attachment A3, and approve the revision of the use of Title I monies for teacher salaries. Approval of the following staff members to prepare and facilitate the REACH Grade 3 Parent-Student Information Session, and approve the staff members for additional hours related to the one-to-one pilot. And that's all that I have.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items A1 through A6 of the education portion of the action agenda.
As the chair of the Education Committee, I recommend that we approve items A1 through A6. I'd like to make one comment. I did take a look at the list
All
of
right,
text.
real quick, if I can have a second, please.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you, Mrs.
Sorry.
Haas. Okay. Mrs. Lay.
Yeah, I took a look at the list of textbooks, and I noticed that we're getting rid of Visual Basics 1999, and it made me realize how clever it was that the math department chose the online textbook for programming, because these things get outdated and it's, doesn't have any meaning. So I think I'm glad that they made that choice during the curriculum approval.
Any other discussion with regard to the action agenda? Mr. Pulsifer.
Yes. It says dispose of the textbooks. What exactly do we do to them? I noticed that some of these are significantly old, and yet by the same token, core physics really hasn't changed that much. We've improved the textbooks, and we may improve delivery, but I bet the facts in those physics books are still accurate. Is there an opportunity to actually donate or give them to some organization that could use them?
Dr. Antunes?
Actually, the state has a process that we have to go through. Any textbooks that are less than 10 years old have to go on the State Department of Ed website, whereby any district in the state can take a look at it and purchase them that way. If textbooks are over 10 years old, we do not have to go through that process because the state doesn't want them, and they don't want them to give them to any of our schools. There are sometimes places that ask for donations when they see that there's a disposal, or we have been known to also send them to places in need across the country.
Seeing no other discussion, roll call, please. Mr. Mahmood.
Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Lay?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Ms. Swanson?
Yes.
And Mr. Kinst?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Motion passed.
I ask for the board's consideration of the following recommendations that I'm making under the area of human resources to improve the resignation as listed, rescinding the contracts as listed, contract changes, the transfers and changes in appointments as listed, approval of the leaves of absence, and approve the appointments of the assistant athletic director, the teachers listed, speech and language therapist, long-term substitute, clerical assistant, lunch aide, coach, and mentors as listed, as well as substitutes, substitute teachers. Approve the revised transportation aid list on attachment B8. Approve revised summer work, group changes, and that's all I have.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items B1 through B10 of the Human Resources portion of the action agenda.
On behalf of the Human Resources Committee, I move the board accept items B1 through B10 as listed.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
That's right. Thank you.
Any discussion regarding the Human Resources action agenda? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood. Sure.
Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas? Yes. Mrs. Lay?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Ms. Swanson?
Yes.
And Mr. Kinst?
Yes. Motion passes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. I ask for the board's consideration of the following motions under the area of operations: to accept the monthly financial reports, approve line item transfers, awarding transportation contracts, award the bid for the hot water heater, award the bid for the exterior site lighting at Woodfern, approve the following policies for second reading, including policy 0153, annual appointments, Policy 0167, public participation in board meetings. Policy 6470, payment of claims. Policy 7510, use of school facilities. And Policy 8613, waiver of pupil transportation.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items C1 through C6 of the Operations Action Agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Mrs. Lay? Mrs. Lay? Gotcha. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, roll call please, Mr. Mahmood.
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
And Mrs. Lay?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Ms. Swanson?
Yes.
And Mr. Kintz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Okay.
And that's all I have this evening, Mr. President.
Okay. Moving on to old business. Is there any old business from the board? Mrs. Haas.
I'd just like to mark two passages that have some meaning to Hillsborough. I stumbled upon a press conference wherein Sean O'Hara, our pride of Hillsborough, retired from the New York Giants this past week, and he'll be working for the NFL Network. But I was very touched by the fact that in his speech, after his wife and the person who introduced him to his wife and his parents, he acknowledged Hillsborough High School and his coach, Rick Mance. In addition to being an excellent football player, Sean was always very generous to a lot of our organizations in the school district and always donated his time and memorabilia very generously. So I'd just like to acknowledge his retirement. And then on a sadder note, this past week marked the passing of James Older, who was a very, very involved member and former president of the Board of Ed back in the 60s and 70s. He was also a 9-year member of the Library Advisory Board and our member emeritus. And I remember talking with him when Wolf Schneider dared me to find out something about the high school construction process, and after going through old newspapers, I realized that he was on the board and he was at my library board meetings. And he gave me an hour's worth of his time to tell me about the high school site selection and building process, and was very generous with his time and knowledge. It was like 40 years hadn't even passed in the way he described the work he did at the Board of Education. So I'd just like to note his passing and offer condolences to his family. He was a lovely, lovely, lovely man.
Thank you, Mrs. Haas. Any other business?
New?
We can do new. Old, but
New, whatever.
No,
Mrs.
I just wanted
Bogoshevsky.
to say thank you for everyone on Thursday and Friday. It was our first day of school, and what a successful day it was. The weather was beautiful, kids were happy, parents were ecstatic.
My kids weren't happy.
I just wanted to wish everyone, all teachers, faculty, staff, and children, a very happy, successful, and safe year.
That goes for me.
I think that goes for the entire board. Thank you, Mrs. Bogoshevsky. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
And a
Second.
second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. We're adjourned. Thank you very much. See you next time.